daily.
Panic and fear, uncertainty that is compounded by and indecisive in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic.
And Tulu Weeks.
Until God gets a hold of our Premier's life and transform him, he will go from bad to worse.
We are tired of playing politics. We need to see policies that will change the life of people, especially those of us in the diaspora.
Tell me. Carlisle, I want all women in this rally for change.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m., you can be a part of this conversation by calling 669-7312. That's 869-669-7312. Also available on WhatsApp or from the diaspora, 917-460-2187.
Every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. with host Carlisle Powell on 2020 Vision Radio and Facebook.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Fiscal, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166 yahoo.com. Fiscal, the way to go.
This 2020 Vision Radio 102.1 FM program is being simulcast weekly on the Caribbean Broadcast Network, heard on CBN Superstation 90.9 FM, Go Loud Digicel app, covering the entire U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and CBN TV on Flow Channel 101 and on CCT TV Channel 291. We do appreciate our U.S. and British Virgin Island listeners and viewers joining us for these informative and entertaining programs on 2020 Vision Radio and 102.1 FM. The views and opinions expressed on this program are strictly those of the participants and do not represent those of 2020visionradio.com or its advertisers.
Very special good evening to you out there in Tell Me Land. It's Thursday night. And so it's show number 1008, stretching back some 19 years. Good evening to all of you who are tuned in and all of you who are there ready for the show this evening. And this evening is going to be a special one for us. We're going to be reflecting on what was, and that is in terms of a budget. We'll be talking about that and a couple of other things this evening. But in the meantime, I'm sure that you see Tulu. And those of you who have always been asking, when is Tulu going to come back? Tulu is in this evening. Tulu, how you doing? I'm doing good. I see you twice for the day.
You're doing good. You saw me twice for the day correctly. I am still recuperating, not doing as good as I would like it to be, but I'm here this evening. I've been itching for some time now to be back in the studio. I've had many calls, many messages, many people praying for me, hoping that I will get better and be up and about again. One of the prognoses from my physician is that I'm older now, so the body is not able to fight like it has been fighting now for 24 years, been fighting this whole issue. So it's nothing new, but it's just that this time around it is very, very prolonged, difficult to fight off. But by the grace of God, I'm here and I'm grateful for it. And so let me say thanks to all of those who would have prayed and sent messages, wish me all the best. Dr. Daly as part of my medical team, advising me along the pathway. And so, one and all, again, it's good to be back. Welcome. All the Tell Me family, call your friend, call your neighbor, call an enemy, tell them Tulu is back on the program once again.
Thank you very much, and Dr. Daly, on cue. Just as you called his name, he strolled in, not for the first time, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't want people to think that he's late this evening. Yeah. He came in before, and he had to make a message, so he's back. Good evening, Dr. Daly.
Good evening, Carla. Good evening, Tulu. And good evening to all those who have decided to spend some quality time with us this evening. You won't tell me. I'm a bit out of breath. I have to run up the stairs.
And there's a lot of stairs.
A lot of stairs. Yeah, but I do apologize for my a little bit late tardiness, but it's okay. Let me say good evening to all those on FM dial, YouTube, Twitch, of course, on the Freedom, on the Facebook feed. Good evening to all of you, my family, of course. And in the interest of time, of course, I'll just pass on every individual except my good friends over in St. James, Turkey, Gary and Bose, my good friend Max up in Westbury, and all the other persons who reach out to me on a regular basis. That will be back in the studio on a Thursday evening.
And I'm going to reach out and say good evening to my oldest sister by my mother Maria's side, Mary, and of course Glenda, Morvet. Those are the girls that my mother had. And then to the males, to Everett and of course to Trevor and their families as well. And let me reach across there to Florida to say good evening to Alan and Dahlia. Alan and I have been trying to set up Powell Overload number 3. We'll give you a date, but yes, we'll do. With last time we did it was a year ago, so we have to do the Powell Overload number 3. We'll give you a date. Tulu, everybody on the feed here saying good evening, Tulu. Welcome back, Tulu. Good to see you. I mean, if I call names, we ain't gonna stop calling tonight. But you have a lot of fans.
It means that I'm making a contribution to the program.
Absolutely.
And I'm touching somebody's life.
Man, I'm telling you.
I think they just don't want to go to another funeral.
Possibly that too.
Well, that's a reality. When the time comes, I have no control over that. And so it will come one of these days. Don't know how soon, but it will come.
Okay, let me grab my phone so that I can go to the date so we can do the birthday thing. And Tulu, I'm glad you're back. At least you're going to bail me out tonight with the singing part of it.
You guys were doing pretty good, man.
Okay. I got to reach back because one of my all-time favorite nephews, Blacks, my nephew from Dung Hanley's Road, had a birthday on Sunday. And I did not know until Monday. So I got to reach out. I can't even cuss Blacks because he's my partner. He's my nephew and he's my partner. So I can't even cuss him. But I'm reaching back to say happy belated birthday to you, Blacks. And I hope that you had a very good one. Tomorrow, Friday, is Wendell Micey Wallace. He'll be celebrating. On Saturday, we have Miller Lawrence. That's a good friend of mine. He stays up every early Friday morning in England to listen to the show. He was down here recently, so we got a little chat. I was hoping that we'd have more time, but we didn't. But Miller, good to have you on the show as usual. Mervyn Hanley will be celebrating on Saturday as well. On Sunday is the treasurer of the NRP, Chanel Pinney Myers.
Okay.
She will be celebrating on Sunday. My niece Rihanna on Monday. Melissa Cornelius. She's celebrating on Monday. On Wednesday, it's Lisa Dason down there in St. Martin. My very good daughter Lisa, they celebrating. And Rhonda always tell me about everybody's birthday, and she didn't remember to tell me about Lisa's birthday. So Rhonda, I'm going to still say happy birthday to Lisa on your behalf. And then to round out our list, this lovely lady, Sylvia France, will be celebrating a birthday on Wednesday of next week. So those are the persons that I have in the birthday list. I don't know if I have any additional.
There's one here, the wife of my good friend Max, up there in Westbury. His wife is celebrating on Saturday.
Okay.
And so her family, Evan Jeffers up in the UK, is sending greetings to her. And so we all wish to have a Viola James of Westbury wishing a happy birthday on Saturday when he comes.
Good. Well, those are who we have on the list. And if we missed anybody, listen, we still will wrap you in our love and we will sing for you. You ready? Daily, remember, is you those lead us off. No? You're not going to play no smart and go put no hot chocolate in your mouth tonight and then leave me stranded.
Boy, Lord, I was going to take a sip of tea, but I'll wait. All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. And as usual, from us in the studio, may you live to be 101 and us 101 minus a day, so we don't have to see you go. May God continue to bless you with good health, strength, and of course, wealth.
Thank you very much. And having said that, we're going to start the program by doing some reflections. And last week, Saturday, we sent home our brother and friend, Hastings Daniel. Listen, I don't believe in a funeral good because you're losing somebody, you're burying somebody. But if you were to term any funeral good, that was a fantastic going home ceremony last week, Saturday, for Hastings. It was really, really touching, you know. It was long, but you were not bored. That's true.
You know, my butt hurt from sitting on so long. So I was glad when the songs came out to start up and sing. But it was really touching. I loved the honesty in it, the brutal honesty with the eulogy, the things that would have occurred to him as a human being and human Nevis, a man who was trying to do his best for his family and by his family. You know, I like and I appreciate such honesty in eulogies. I don't think there should be sugarcoating anything. What happened to the gentleman happened to him, you know, and he still persevered and made a significant contribution to the people of Nevis, to the landscape of Nevis, something that cannot be erased by anybody. And so when you have a man like that, and you could tell by the audience who was there, people stayed the course. People stayed the course. Even though it was several hours, people stayed the course. I appreciate all the persons who came over from St. Kitts. The Marcel Laibert came over, the Governor General came over, the former Prime Minister, Dr. Douglas, came over, the Deputy Prime Minister was there, Jeffrey Hanley, and then of course you had Congress Maynard was there with his wife. You know, Joyal Clark. I mean, when you have persons taking the time on a Saturday to try to sit across the shark-infested waters, it tells you the importance of that man to the community of which he served. It's a hallmark of excellence when you have that sort of tribute of persons that are willing to sit there through 3-4 hours of remembrances to celebrate your life. You know, it was fantastic. And when you look in the crowd, it was who on Nevis that came out to celebrate this man's life. And that is a testimony to the man's work and his worth as a human being. And so the absences, the notable absences, comes with the territory. The Premier chose not to attend. His deputy chose not to attend. The Minister for Nevis 1, Spencer, chose not to attend. That's fine. It does not diminish or take away from the awesome contribution of this man. And if you're holding the seat of the premiership, and you cannot see beyond the pettiness of what transpired and caused this man and his family such harm. If you cannot see beyond that to your own fallibility, if you can't see that this is bigger than you, this is a tribute to a son of the soil who made such a significant contribution. He may not have agreed with your policies. Not everybody will. But for you not to pay homage to that man, it speaks not about the man, it speaks about you, your deficits and your deficiencies as a human being. And so the contrast is quite clear, quite clear and touching, that so many persons would have taken time out of a Saturday. I was there from 8 o'clock, 8:30, until after 1.
So too.
Yeah, and the church was still packed. That tells you that Hastings, the passing of Hastings Daniel, is a testimony to the strength and perseverance of the human character, because the things he went through with this government, a government that retired him in the public interest.
What does that mean?
At 38.
At 38 years old, with a wife and a son and a mortgage to pay, you are retired in the public interest. You know what that means? This government has no place for you.
You're dangerous to the operations
of the government. So you're out the door at 38 years old. But he persevered. And they say when one door closes, God opens a bigger one.
Say it.
I'm not afraid to say that.
And when God opens one, nobody can close it.
Well,
okay? They think that they were closing a door on his life. They did not realize that God was setting him up for bigger things. But the whole thing for me, Dr. Daly, is this, is that the foundation of Hastings' life was his faith in God. That is what propelled him to do all the things that he did. He not only spoke the gospel, preached the gospel, but he lived the gospel, and that is the most important thing, in that he reached out and he touched the lives of every individual that he could have touched. I mean, whenever I am home and I think about home, I remember when he took me up at Hamilton. He's the one who chose that piece of land that I am on. He chose that for me. I would have chosen something else. He said, no, you're a poor man. You won't have money to do this and do that and do that. Take this one here, so you know what I'm telling you. I said, okay. And it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened. I mean, it was the proudest time in my life.
But his brother Gilly, Carlisle, was very honest, brutally honest.
Have to.
And again, I appreciate honesty.
Have to.
All right. I mean, based on his testimony in that service, Hastings perhaps shouldn't have died, but he did. And I'm not pointing any fingers, but certainly something is wrong with a system where care is not given or being offered with haste. Is a lackadaisical attitude towards life and death. And I've heard this too many times. People are dying in beds at the hospital. And unless you have a family wealthy enough to get an autopsy, there's no autopsy done. And so you're buried as if you never lived.
Natural causes.
And we need to change the protocol, as Gilly said.
And we'll get to the clips from Gilly. But I just want to make one comment. I want to play the clips from Gilly when we take a look at what was said in the House today in terms of the hospital. But I just want to make one point. The minister responsible for health, I'm told that she said that the government has filling 3 pages of medical professionals who the government can call on. 3 pages. And Hastings Daniel died in the outpatient area. He didn't even make it on the ward. This is somebody who went to the hospital to seek medical attention and was sent back home not once, not twice, I'm told 3 times. And yet still the government has 3 pages of names of medical professionals who they can call on to help. And Hastings went looking for help and ended up being buried.
Perhaps the practitioners at the hospital, the doctors and the first responders, do not have the number of the
of these 3 pages of people?
Of the 3 pages of people, so that I could call. So then you have to go through the minister in order for the minister to call somebody. If that's a reality, then those numbers, contact, everything should be there.
Let me tell you something.
At the behest of the first responders.
I have quite a lot of friends who are medical doctors at the hospital. Many of them I would have taught at school. They're bright people. They're committed people. But what I understand is that at any given time, especially in an outpatient, there's 1 nurse and 1 doctor. So if you are in a crisis situation and there is no effort to triage and to determine how urgent is your care versus the person who is already being triaged, then who's going to be taking responsibility for that? If you have a list of 3-page list of professionals, why is only 1 doctor and 1 nurse in outpatient on any given night, on any given day? I shared with you last week or a week before a story of a colleague of mine who was waiting hours in the outpatient to be seen by a doctor. 1 doctor on call, 1 nurse to assist. And when she went to the attendant to say, listen, I am struggling here. I don't know how much longer I can withstand the pain I'm feeling. She was told, well, there's a private doctor across the road. There is a private doctor across the road. That was the response to a fellow human being crying out for help. And so, while we introspect about whatever happened to our brother Hastings, we must understand the physical and human deficiencies. How can you have 1 doctor and 1 nurse in an outpatient where all the persons in emergency are coming in, and from there you leave to go in the ward? How can you have 1 in your front line? It doesn't make any sense. So when the premier is saying he's hiring this and hiring that, and he has all these professional people, where the hell are they? Where are they?
They're for sure not on the island. You don't have 3 pages of professionals on the island anyway.
You can put anything on a page. You can put any name on a page. It doesn't mean that you're on site, you're on the job, you're available. And if we are going to be conducting ourselves as a modern society, then we have to do much better than what we're doing. And this complacent attitude that the Premier has, that the services that are available at the Alexandria Hospital are superior to anything else in the history of Nevis, to the point where we don't even need the new wing, the diagnostic wing. These are his words. So if this is coming from the top, that we are already so advanced in our health care, as it is, then what is the need, what is the urgency to change anything?
I think while we're on health, let us stay right there, but let me back up just a little bit to say, I heard of the passing of Yvette Mills.
Really?
She from Annie Mills, the Annie Mills clan.
Yes.
And so we want to pass our condolences on to the Mills family on the passing of Yvette.
Wow.
And we wish you well. I think a lot of people know Yvette. She was very, very popular. Worked at Four Seasons, worked in the seniors division. And I know her well. Very, very pleasant lady. So we learned that she has passed. Deli, you got your budget? I want to take you to page 38. You forget that as well?
I was in another meeting in St. Paul's and I rushed out the house. I forgot my budget.
Well, I have mine, so I'm going to go to page 38. I think you read it quite enough to know what is in there. Repositioning our health sector And we're going to take this one. And then, callers, we want you to hold your calls for a little bit. But we'll take this one since it's already through. Good evening, caller.
Caller, good evening. You're on Tulon Daily.
Good evening.
I like how you are analyzing the house, what they said they had. But you all must remember, Sherry was in there waiting on the dialysis machine, looking out, peeping, says she's going to get better. I see same thing they do with Brother Daniel. I see same thing, you know, when you analyze it, I see same thing that happen. Right? They just don't care. And depends on who you be. He make it worse. So it's a straightforward thing. Everybody knows the reason why Mr. Daniel dead. And you got to lay it right on the Minister of Health. If you say you got 3 people who you could call.
3 pages with names of people.
Well, why you didn't call them? Why you didn't call them? But karma gonna come around, man. Karma gonna come around and karma hit them. They're gonna want to know if somebody do them something. Right? I was here listening, but I just had to get it in.
Thank you very much, caller.
All right.
Okay. We're going to urge you to hold the other calls a little bit, but we're going to make sure we open the line and give you a lot of time and space tonight. First of all, Parliament. 3rd, 4th, 5th budget debates. There was a time in the history of Nevis when people look forward to Parliament. I mean, people bought fresh batteries for their radios. I don't think a lot of people trusted electricity. So even if you had a radio that worked with electricity, you made sure that you had a battery-operated radio. Because people wanted to hear Honorable Uriel Swanston. They wanted to hear his contribution to the debates. People wanted to hear the Premier with just one name, Sim. They wanted to hear Ivor Stevens, Joseph Parry. People lined up and waited outside the Parliament building to find out when Victor J. Martin would be taking the podium.
Powerhouse.
Nowadays, with this government, people seem to run away from the government when they are presenting.
That's not what I mean.
I mean, I am told, based on the ad that they put out, that the budget address by the Premier would be on every station except 2020. And I made it my business to tune to every station at noon on the day of the presentation. And the only station that was bringing it was Van Radio. Only station that I could find bringing it was Van Radio. Everybody else were doing other things. I don't know if they didn't pay or whatever. But suffice it to say that we have reached a stage in Nevis now where people don't trust the government to present its budget and the estimates. And people are scared of listening to the radio to hear the people on the government side making their presentations. Because after being in Parliament, most of these here have been there since 2013. They're just not getting any better. They don't inspire you. They don't urge you to sit around the radio or the television or anything and listen to them. They just sound worthless and reckless. And this year they took it to a particularly new height. I noticed that the Premier, the biggest contribution that he had to make in the budget debate this year, NRP caused us to be in this broke position with Restream. NRP. And so we are going to charge it to NRP. It's them fault. And we are going to give you the full Restream story this evening. But I just wanted to put that out there. But you know what is so scary and frightening about the Premier? I want to know what his legacy will be. Right now, when you talk to people in Nevis, they are telling you easily the most bold-faced, bare-faced liar in Nevis is Mark Brantley. And people could back it up with evidence.
Anywhere in the Caribbean.
Listen to me. Mark Brantley, as Minister of Finance, said that they are charging the cost of Resthaven to the budget, and that is why they broke this year. But I want you to tell me something. If that is the case, why is it mentioned in the 2023 audit report? If you're just charging it in 2024, in the 25 budget, is in the 2025 budget they mentioned that? So what the hell is it doing in the 2023 audit report? You sure that this has not been charged already? Why would the auditors be putting it in the 2023 audit report if it is going to be charged, or it was charged in 24? How we get in the 23 audit report?
I have no idea.
Listen, Hastings, I think, did a fantastic job some time ago dispelling the notions of the Premier of Navies on this Four Seasons resort. His personal involvement or his business involvement in all the transactions that took place with that. And so to present it as if that it is NRP's fault or whatever, no, it's not NRP's fault. The evidence is clear. And I'm sure that we could find the tape of Hastings, but because Hastings was
we're going to deal with that.
Okay.
We're going to deal with that.
Let us put this in context. And it's very simple to put in context. The Joseph Parry-led government in 2007 acquired the Restream Hotel because the owners who were contentious, Rams and the Nisbets, were contending who was the rightful owner or who had more interest, financial interests or liabilities in the building. The NRP acquired it with the idea of saving it for tourism development.
For Nevis.
For Nevis.
Okay.
Because if Rams had, well, let's be honest about it. If Rams had won, who knows what they would have done with it? They might have put a supermarket there. They might put whatever it is.
But they were not interested. They said, we just want our money.
We just want the money. So the property was evaluated by Hastings. And the evaluation, when Hastings was alive, he didn't want to say how much it was, but we've learned since. The evaluation was $3 million EC for the entire lot. Brantley is on a record, and I wrote a post today on Facebook. He is on a record in the house in St. Kitts, talking all sorts of nonsense about this acquisition. He was not in favor of it. NRP lost office in 2013.
January
2013. And immediately, Brantley and his rest of the CCM people brought in a tribunal, a 3-man tribunal, to reevaluate the property.
The Hastings had already
done. Hastings already submitted. They fired Hastings from the valuation, and brought in their own people to say that NRP trying a fast one, and this property ain't worth $3 million EC dollars. You see where West Haven is? Coastal property. Buildings already on the property. They say it wasn't worth $3 million. Ain't so much. Parry trying a smart thing. They brought in their own tribunal, headed by a gentleman, Tommy Astafan from St. Kitts, the lawyer, and a land surveyor, and one of the gentlemen here from Nevis. 3 people. And they went the length and breadth of that property there. And you know what they came back with? A valuation of almost 17 million EC dollars.
From 3?
From 3 million EC dollars to 17 million EC dollars. Plus fees for the lawyers and the tribunal members. There was assessment of 6% interest on that $17 million per year. This government here did not lift a finger to settle the amount of $17 million. They let it fester and fester and fester. And right now, the bill owed, the value of that property exceeds 23 million EC dollars. Because they have not done a thing to settle the amount owed since 2013 when evaluation came out. You understand? So when he's talking about it's NRP's fault, you were in government from 2013 to present.
Did not.
You are in the federal construct with Team Unity. You got 500 million sent over to you from Dr. Harris. And all the while, you're not even paying the interest on the mortgage. You're not even paying that. And so, of course, naturally, the amount owed is building up and building up, because when you got 20 million to pay at 6%, and then you add that 6% to the 20 million, and then you add another 6% on that number, and up and up and up, it's clearly you're going in the wrong direction. So when they're talking about it's NRP's fault, it makes it seem as if there was a pot of money, and because NRP did not pay the property, pay for the property, that somehow that pot of money that you want to use for the hospital or whatever else, that was being diminished by the fact that you owe Nisbet. It doesn't make any sense. It's apples and oranges. You have an obligation to honor that acquisition, right? If you can find 3.5 million, 5 million for Cultural Armor Complex, you can find 800,000 for the Bath Springs, you can paint those buildings in town on a rusted roof, thousands of dollars. You can find all manner of things to do with money. You can pay the mahogany boys to cut down trees from Gingerland to Charlestown, down to Pennies and beyond. You can find money for all kind of things. But paying the Nisbets and Rams, what the government acquired, you can't find the money, and it's NRP fault.
But what is...
I just want to make 2 quick points there. And I'm going to start by looking at the budget and Mark Brantley's budget presentation with respect to that very same Restream. He said in paragraph 26, Madam President, I wish to make it clear that the ballooning of our capital expenditure for the fiscal year 2023 was not of our own doing, but rose from the fact that the administration had to deal with a matter that was left over from the previous NRP administration. As we may recall, the then NRP-led administration in 2007 took the decision to acquire the abandoned Resthaven property, correction. During the remaining time in office, they made no attempt to arrive at a fair compensatory value and never compensated the owners for their property. I wish to make it clear to this Honorable House that we have found no evidence as to why this property was acquired by the then NRP-led NIA. We have found no plans, no discussions, no notes as to why the decision was taken or what the plans were for this property. First of all, Mark Brantley said here in the House with respectable and respectful people looking on and watching, and some preachers too, that they, meaning NRP, made no attempt to arrive at a fair compensatory value. But NRP had people to assess the property. That is where Hastings came in. Hastings represented the government and came in with a value of $3 million. But as Daly just explained, these very smart people from CCM said, no, Parry and them looking to give Kishu $3 million. And the property ain't what that. So they brought in Tommy Astafan and his team, who say, oh, Hastings talk about $3 million EC dollars. How about if we put it at $6 million US dollars? It was $6,415,920.94. But I want to go further. Let me just show you, and we like to give you proof when we say that Mark Brantley is a liar. And he just can't help himself. He just must lie. Let us look at, I wouldn't even go 2018. Let me go earlier than 2018. Let me go to the early part of 2018, January 2018. This is a story from myview.com. And they are quoting Mark Brantley. said that Brantley indicated, quote, "My government expects to launch the redevelopment of the Resthaven property." The same one we're hearing on board. Redevelopment of the Resthaven property. This undertaking would facilitate the expansion of Charlestown and add diversity to the tourism sector by creating a boardwalk, retail shops, restaurants, office space, and a marina facility. An investor has been identified, and Nevis can look forward to the realization of this major development initiative in the not too distant future. End of quote.
2018.
2018, Mark Brantley. Mark Brantley. But I want to go somewhere else in 2018. Later in 2018, Kisho died in 2014. The executor of his will, his brother, had discussions with the government in Nevis, which was CCM, trying to get back the money for the property, the Resthaven property. Because remember that Nevis, the government of Nevis acquired Resthaven under Joseph Parry. Governments are continuous.
Yes.
It's not that government and Bragadam, new government, and so you forget everything in the past. Governments are continuous. But let me show you how bad-minded and spiteful and willful Mark Brantley is. And lie. When the discussions with the NIA, now CCM, when they failed, Kisho's brother decided, let's litigate, let's take the matter to court. And the matter was heard in late 2018. The judge was Justice Larian Williams. Mark Brantley had to represent the government because the suit was again Mohandras Devidas Shandiramani, who was the claimant, and the first respondent was Mark Brantley in his capacity as a Minister of Finance in the Nevis Island Administration, and the second respondent was the Attorney General of St. Kitts and Nevis. So Mark Brantley had to swear an affidavit. You know what that means? He went to the court down there, and he either affirm, I swear that whatever he signed his name to was the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Let me read from the judgment by Justice Larian Williams. Paragraph 9. The first respondent, Mark Brantley, filed an affidavit in response to the claimant's claim dated 30th November 2018. Mr. Brantley asserted at paragraph 6 of his affidavit that he was aware, by virtue of his position as Minister of Finance, that lands belonging to Resthaven Limited were acquired on the 8th October 2007 by the NIA for a public purpose, which is a touristic development. Is in the judgment. This is the judgment I have in my hand.
And 2024, he knows nothing.
2024, in his budget address, Mark Brantley said, as we may recall, the then NRP administration in 2007 took the decision to acquire the abandoned Resthaven property. They made no efforts to arrive at a fair compensatory value, and he had no evidence as to why the property was acquired.
But in 2018, he knew.
In 2018, he swore an affidavit.
He swore.
He not just knew, you know.
He swore an affidavit.
Held up the Bible in the right hand if he swore. I don't know if he affirmed, I think he swore. Held up the Bible and said that I swear that what I have signed is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Tourism development.
Yes, and 6 years later, no, he know nothing about that. But listen. I mean, I can't remember the name because I'm trying my best to keep out of jail now, I get old. During that same period, when he did not know why the Resthaven was acquired, somebody buy Sispan. Somebody bought Sispan.
That's how he buy it.
Because they realized, boy, if the government do what they said they're going to do with Resthaven.
Prime property.
Prime property. The value of Sispan, boy, going up in the air. Somebody bought Sispan. Ask yourself why somebody run and buy Sispan. And when the deal wasn't completed, when they didn't pay Resthaven, they shut down Sispan. They left Sispan abandoned.
Because it was no longer of a monetary value.
Okay.
They were hoping to develop, get Resthaven off their hands. And across the street is Sispan. right? And he would have known all of this. That's why he bought it. It was a bet into the future that Restream going to come on stream, and he's going to have a prime property across the street, which can be sold at premium. But you notice nothing has been done to the property since he bought it, and you realize
because
that nothing's been done across the street.
Yeah, so nothing's done here.
No.
No, the vexing thing for me here is that the Premier of Nevis would have said to the world who was listening, NRP acquired this, no vision, nothing for it. They just take it basically for bad mind. I knew nothing about it. But he went to court and swore an oath or whatever he did.
Affidavit.
An affidavit that the property was for tourism development. So how he knew in 2018, but in 2024 he knows nothing. And how people continue to listen to this man.
Our job as pundits, as activists, is to point out to people, because a lot of us don't have the capacity, whether to access to this information or whatever it is. They rely on people like us here in the studio and others to do the research and present the evidence to them, for them to digest. All right? So all we are doing is leading the horse to the water.
Can't make them drink?
Can't make them drink it. But that is our job. And we are doing, I believe, a damn good job of shining the bright light of scrutiny on these matters, because they've been getting away with it, unchallenged, unscathed for a long time. And they fail to readjust their behavior to the new times. And the new times is we are digging into every paper, every publication, every video, every audio to show the people of Nevis the truth. Because these are their words and their actions. And you can't run away from your words and your actions. It's not me saying it. It's you said it.
But
it was your affidavit.
But you could convince me that you didn't say it, and this is what's happening here.
No, you can't convince me. If I have an affidavit of your swearing that the contents of what I'm telling this court is true, you lied to the court? Did you lie to the court?
No, I told the court the truth, but I told the people a lie. No, we have 98% of the people we are told are literate people. We are a very, very religious society. We call ourselves a Christian community. Out of this, we cannot decipher truth from falsehood. And it is clear that the truth is presented because we are presenting the evidence based on what is written, based on what he said, both in the court document. And if you don't want to accept anybody else, you accept the court reporting. Well, how is it that in this moral, religious, bright society, we do not say to this individual, you are taking us for a ride, you have been dishonest with us as a people, and therefore we will not tolerate this any longer?
It is being said, but not by enough people and not by enough different people. Because everybody, they have their fears, whatever their fears are. Nobody wants to die on a hill as no hero, as one lawyer told me. I'm not going to die on a hill by being a hero for nobody. I was told that to my face.
Wow.
All right? So we have a job to do as reporters, as commentators, to bring the truth to the people. All right? That's all we can do. And hopefully those persons out there who are listening and those persons who are understanding what we are up against and what we are dealing with, they themselves become mirrors of us to relay that information to others. And that is what we are hoping for. We are the echo chamber for the truth. We expect our listeners, our supporters, to also understand that they have an obligation to share that information with as much people as possible. Because if you see the truth and still deny the truth, hey,
You got problems.
You got a problem.
Daily, while we on land acquisition, let me play this one as well.
We don't have enough money.
Let me start it again.
I mean, we hear a lot of the time that we're not doing enough because, you know why we're not doing enough sometimes? Because we don't have enough money. We don't, remember who brought this bill, spoke about Restream, and Madam President, we are now in the process, right now, as we speak, trying to find $1.4 million to pay for a piece of land that was acquired down at Jessop's Bay. Not paid for by the previous government. $1.4 million. I hope people hearing me now. I get called every day, not every week. $1.4 million we have to find to pay for a piece of land that was acquired at Jessop's Bay. When we got into government, we could have given back the people the land, but no. We say, well, we're going to keep this because we want the same fishers who they say we don't like. We want this for the fishers, the fishermen of Jessop's. And so we had to find $1.4 million to go pay for that piece of land. That $1.4 million could have been utilized to do something else. I have a lot of things in the ministry that could have been utilized for, but we have to find it.
I'm playing the greater.
Please tell me that that is not my fellow Gingerlander, Eric. Because Eric sound as blackguarded and worthless and reckless as you could ever find anybody to sound. I mean, listen, there were two pieces of land at Jessop's that I am proud that the NRP tried to get for the fishers. One is a piece of land where the gentlemen were pulling up their boats, and I think piece of that was gifted to us.
Yes.
And disappeared into the sea. The sea took it, most of it back. The government made approaches and made advances to purchase land for the fishermen. Mm-hmm. And I will make no apologies for that. No. Because our fisher folk, you can't just say, hey, listen, go along out to sea, bring back fish for us, but when you come in, nowhere there to pull up a boat. Mm. And Jessop's and Cotton Ground have active fishing communities. So we sought to get the piece of land. The government changed. What this boy want us to do? He want us out of government to go and pay the people for the land? Listen, Eric, I don't normally like to chastise my fellow Gingerlanders, but he sound like a backside.
No, he was fooled.
Why is it Eric can't see that the government changed since 2013, 11 years, and he's still fighting about a piece of land for fishermen?
When you don't even know what pronoun you are, how are you going to know what the hell is going on in the country? I mean, again, it comes down to this idiotic argument, as if government is not continuous. You met a negotiation that was not complete. You met a negotiation that was not complete. You would have recognized you need to complete it.
Because it's important.
Because it's important. The people of Jessop's needed a landing site, and the one gifted to the NRP to the NRP on behalf of the fishers of Jessop's got washed away in that hurricane that destroyed 4 seasons. And there was no place to go. So the government negotiated to buy land east towards the mountain. That was not part of the sea yet for the fishers. But the government lost, the NRP lost the next election. So they left that blueprint of the negotiation to buy the land from the owners for $1.2 million.
2012.
2012. 12 years ago. And this, he, she, him, them, other, is making as if there's a pool of money that somehow that $1.2 million is being extracted from someplace else. You have an obligation as the Minister of Fisheries. You are the prominent secretary. You are now the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries. And you're here belly aching after spending $5 million on culture armor. After getting 500 million you're barely aching about providing a landing site for the fisher folk of Jessops?
They don't deserve it.
This is an abomination.
But remember, it's the same people cost us a $30 million fisheries
Same people.
complex.
They had no difficulty turning down a $30 million grant from the Japanese for fisheries for Charlestown. And he was the permanent secretary at the time. Then became the minister, the representative for Gingerland, and then the minister. And it seems to me, as time goes by, you will think people get better with age, better with time, more prudent and more understanding, more global in their thinking. But this he, she, him, them can't seem to understand that. I don't know if he's being confused by the swinging of estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. I don't know what.
I don't know what you're talking
But
about.
clearly, there's something going on in the psyche of this man that is not connecting to reality. Because if he was connecting, he would be making these stupid, idiot arguments.
But then you got to bear in mind that these statements are made to deceive people. Because he cannot convince me, based on the information that we read earlier, that he did not know that the Concerned Citizens Movement was involved with this Savings Land issue, and that the CCM is the one who brought in their own evaluators and pushed the price of the land up and does nothing. But let us look at the record. The record is there that there was a case against the CCM with Gaskell up at Montpelier. That happened under CCM. The court adjudicated against the people of Nevis to pay Gaskell. The CCM changed, government changed. So it's NRP came in and they were supposed to abandon that and not pay it. Government is continuous. We have evidence where the CCM borrowed money from a banking institution here to do housing development, paid nothing on it. Joseph Perry administration came in and realized this. So he said that the Joseph Perry administration was not supposed to pay it because it's the Van Sammy administration. So government is continuous. But the thing here, the Concerned Citizens Movement under Mark Brantley is designed to deceive the people of Nevis. And the Premier was successful in even fooling Eric and make Eric speak like a fool because the evidence is clear.
You're not going to convince Eric to speak like a fool, believe me.
All I'm saying.
But if you, to your point though, Tulo, if you are a government that has been in power for the last decade, you should be ashamed to no end to be blaming your predecessor for whatever situation you find yourself in 10 years later. It means that you have not been effective or efficient as a government. And they have been part of two governments, the team in the government and the NIA, with a lot of resources at their disposal.
Had more money at the disposal than any.
From 2015 till 2022.
24.
22.
Okay.
When Team Unity mashed up. Okay. Over $2.2 billion passed through the CCM hands as leaders of this country. 2.2 billion passed through their hands in 7 years. From recurrent revenue, from CBI, from loans.
And we're
still talking about $1.2 million for land at Jessops for fishermen in 2024? These people need a bullbud. They need somebody go down to the house in Parliament and bang all them tail part with a bullbud. Bang them out the house. That's what they need to do to them. There's no other measure for them there. Go down with a long black bullbud and bang all them tail part.
These people have sold themselves to deceive the people of Nevis. And the truth is they have been successful in doing it. It pays. And so if you're doing something and it is paying off and it's paying well, why change it? And so lies Lies has placed them in office. Lies keep them in office. And so they will not speak the truth, because if they speak the truth, they will not be in office. So they have to continue to tell lies.
There are enough of us here on Nevis.
You're right.
And there are enough of us in the diaspora that each of us, if we make a commitment
to the
truth and to make a change, it will happen.
True.
There are more of us than all the people who come here nefariously to vote for this government. There are more of us. But we can't sit at home on election morning and think our problem is somebody else's problem. It can't happen. If people recognize that this government here has run its course, that there's no more race to run, they can't run anymore, they are broken. I listened to the House, and it was as flat as Culture Armor 50. It was meaningless as Culture Armor 50. Because those words the Premier spoke last year in that very House, when he said, I remind you that these are just estimates, meaning that they don't mean nothing. Don't take our promises in this book we have called the budget serious. These are guidelines. Well, if you were Joseph Parry or Sir Simeon Daniel or Vance Amory, you take great offense to this, because the work that goes into preparing this budget is serious work, where you try to live within your means. You create a budget to guide your vision, and he's saying, it ain't that important. It is a guide. It's just a wish list. So when you put out a budget for $276 million, you regard that as what? Monopoly money?
Just a guideline.
It's an insult to the people in all the ministries, the persons at finance who spend hours and hours and hours and hours of their life preparing this document. It's shameful that he's regarding their work as just almost like a guess what's going to happen. It's absurd.
But there has been no consequence.
We're going to take a break, gentlemen. As we go to break, I just want you to consider this. Which paragraph is this in the budget? It comes under administration.
2024 budget?
No, not the budget, the audit report, I beg your pardon. Comes under administration, it's on page 27. It says it is important to highlight that claims against government have been on the rise over the past 3 years, increasing from 32,968 in 2021 to $355,039 in 2022, and reaching 713,559 in 2023. Claims against government. So what are they doing wrong? They have a whole legal department. And the Premier says that he is the brightest lawyer ever come out of Nevis. Claims against the government jump from 32,968 in 2021 to $713,559 in 2023. We got to find out what the hell is going on there, and why are people so eager to take the government to court, and why are people winning against the government so easily. We soon come back.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Pickens Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166 yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
Welcome back to Tell Me, and we have somebody holding on the line, so we'll go straight to the phone lines. Good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. Carlisle, Daly, and Tolo, my brother. How are you doing?
I'm doing better.
All right. Now, I'm just calling to give my little 2 cents because I joined into the show late, but I've been listening to this West Haven debate and about the House of Assembly. I'm hearing about this affidavit or whatever. When I think about the affidavit, I'm thinking about courts and something you go into the courts and sway and whatever. But the same statement that Mr. Brand made regarding the West Haven and the West Haven development and the ideas to develop tourist attraction or whatever. Do you know that in the 2018-19 budget, which is actually number 55 under tourism, that there's a section there that speaks to that?
It wouldn't surprise me because it's 2018 he gave that big interview.
No, well, I'm telling you, it's there. If you go under the budget for 2018, go to number 55.
I will.
You understand? And he said that. Not only that, in the same 2018-2019 budget, he lamented about the debt that NRP picked up. I think it was 2007 or something he mentioned. But then he also mentioned that they had to go back to National Bank to refinance the debt. That was 2018. So if you went back to National Bank to refinance a debt that you referred to since 2007, 2008, so why you come now in 2024 talking about NRP left this huge debt and all of a sudden you have a deficit because of something that happened in 2007? It's not making sense. But anyway, fast forward to the Minister for Health. That was the most disappointing presentation I've heard in a very long time. Where she is referring to the same issue. And she is in charge of the only project in Nevis that has surpassed 7 years not completed and cannot give an explanation. She spent 1 minute and about 2 seconds talking about the hospital wing. You understand? Literally 1 minute and 22 seconds talking about the hospital wing. And then she's talking about she got this report from the QS. And then she's going to budget a next $12 million. But, well, Father Lord, she done budget $12 million 2 years ago. Then she budgeted 2. Well, 12 plus 12, not 24 plus 2, or 26. Mm-hmm. So what is new? What is new? You understand? So I told somebody sometime ago, the only ammunition CCM will have is try to come and bring up some old foolishness from the past. And this is what they want to bring the West Haven. But it's not going to fly. It's not going to fly. They've been getting so much like from the hospital wing that they want to bring out this thing about West Havens. No, it can't fly. So, anyway, gentlemen, you're all good.
Thank you very much. I want to stay right there on the minister and the Ministry of Health. The biggest problem in Nevis, the biggest concern in Nevis related to healthcare must be the incompleted Alexandra Hospital wing. And I was so disappointed when I looked at the budget because I expected more. I expected a lot. The minister, the contribution to the entire budget, let me see how many pages, because I want to put everything into context. How many pages this budget runs? 57 pages. And paragraph 157 is the only paragraph in the budget which is devoted to the hospital wing. 57 pages.
One paragraph.
One paragraph. And not only that, my research people went deeper. They said 90 words.
90.
90 words on that monstrosity that they have up there for the hospital. But they went further. They said if it is 90 words and 7 years it has taken them to get so far at the hospital, not completing the hospital, they tell me that that is 12 words a year. An average of 12 words per year or 1 word per month.
And if you take out the and the.
Exactly.
And them.
So the minister can only devote 90 words, one paragraph, to the most important failed project in Nevis.
Because she has given her solemn commitment. You didn't hear that?
Daily, I think what we should do, let us listen to the minister, and we're going to take the minister way back. I want you to hear what the minister said in 2023.
Completing the interior is of the highest priority to our administration. That is why $12 million, Madam President, would have been allocated in this budget to ensure its timely completion. And Madam President, some would have you believe that we've blown through the initial $19 million estimate with no hospital to show for it. As Minister Evelyn indicated, Madam President, we like facts on this side. As the young people say, we have our receipts. So, Madam President, to date, we have spent $8,342,486 out of the initial $19 million budgeted. We would have only spent $8,342,443.76 out of the initial $19 million budgeted. So when you hear talks of over budget, I want the House to have the official figures on record, not those imagined or otherwise, Madam President.
I feel sorry for her, but let's hear what she said in 2024.
Madam President, as our economy showed signs of rebounding in 2022, the government again rightly reaffirmed its commitment to the completion of this project by allocating a capital expenditure amount of $10 million towards its in the 2023 budget. This funding, however, remained largely untouched, Madam President, as we face another hurdle in obtaining a necessary bill of quantities to guide the completion of the interior. The exterior is, for the most part, complete, but because it is a technical medical space, Madam President, you cannot simply just put beds and equipment any and everywhere. So it must be properly guided, and thus bill of quantities is required for that. We contracted a local quantity surveyor in St. Kitts. However, they have at this time failed to deliver such. That would allow us to move the project to the final stages. Madam President, this matter, failure to deliver, is now in the hands of our legal department, and we have taken steps to move forward with the project actively. So we have since contracted the medical design consultants to provide the necessary bill of quantities, and we have signed the agreement with them on November 1st of this year with a delivery timeline of 6 to 8 weeks for said bill of quantities. I reached out earlier this week to the point person, and I was assured that we are still well on schedule for delivery. So in the upcoming weeks, we shall have that in hand, and in the first quarter, we can actively, vigorously begin work on the interior of this much-awaited expansion with the earmarked capital expenditure in this budget of $8 million.
That's 12 plus 8, 20 million. Let's hear what she had to contribute this year.
Madam President, while we're on the topic of the Alexandra Hospital, I take this time to fully acknowledge the delay of the expansion project. And I'm also taking the opportunity to reaffirm my ministries, my government, and my personal commitment to bringing this vision to fruition. As such, Madam President, now that we have secured the required bill of quantity documents, we have engaged our Taiwan partners and other technical partners to propel this project forward. Madam President, this commitment is evidenced by the $12 million budgeted for 2025.
So that's 12 million plus 8 million plus 12 million, 12 and 8 are 20, 32 million. For the record, not a bit of work was done visible to the eyesight at the hospital for the last 2 years. I said visible to the eyesight. Because if you go inside the building, inside there they have been gutting the building. And apart from gutting the building, they have a little, what's that? They have ferns growing in there, so I will classify that as agriculture. So I don't know if the Minister of Agriculture, Eric, has joined with the Minister of Health to get some ferns growing inside the hospital. I like Minister Nisbet. I got to like her, but I'm sorry for her. I got pity on her. Because she is lost, she's out of her depth, she don't have a clue what is happening at the hospital, she don't have an idea as to how to finish the hospital. But she has been presented as the fall girl, and she's over there identifying with these hapless, clueless, hopeless CCM people. So she got to take the blame. She is the face of health in Nevis. But minister, until somebody sue you, when the people go to the hospital and can't get proper treatment, you're not going to understand what is happening up there. and even before you come in, gentlemen, I think this is a time when we should play these clips.
And I know we have some sayings that we say, ignore the noise. Yes, ignore the noise. But please do not ignore the silence of this champion and others like him who have transitioned and cannot tell their stories. I do believe, having worked in one of the medically underserved areas in District of Columbia for all these years, I know we have the education, we have the know-how. We just have to give up on that inertia, that deference to each other and that deference to human life that we have. We have to. We can. And we must do better. And I'll transition my big brother and use one of his words. If we as a nation do the needful, the next life we save might be one of our own. Because we have to be able to do some things to stabilize someone until we can move them. Please, let's do it.
That didn't happen in Hastings' case. Let us play the next clip. And that's the voice of a medical doctor of many years. His experience, that's Dr. Gilbert Daniel. Let's play the very next clip.
When Hastings became acutely ill, and that Tuesday, the 29th, he called said, you know what, go to the emergency room, Hastings. I don't like how you sound. He went. So he didn't give up. HRD went to seek help, but what was afforded to him was profoundly deficient.
What was afforded to him was profoundly deficient. And this is speaking to the heart of the issue. You see, the challenge that I have is that whenever the Premier gets up at his press conferences and he speaks about health, he tells you we have more doctors now than at any time in the history of Nevis. The fact that the new wing is not completed does not mean that our healthcare is not top-notch. We're brilliant. We're doing everything right. And Hastings went to the hospital and was sent back home 3 times. And Hastings went back to the hospital seeking help. You heard what his brother, who is a doctor, said? What was afforded to him was proficiently deficient. I mean, you can't put it in any plainer language. Hastings should not have died at the hospital having not received the kind of care that was required to keep him alive. But they say that the hospital is fantastic. Great health care. Most doctors ever in the history of Nevis. 3 pages of professionals who you could call on. And Hastings died before he got on the ward. And that was not the first time that he had gone to the hospital to look for help. Not the first time. Listen, gentlemen, before you come in, I'm going to play that one there again.
When Hastings became acutely ill on that Tuesday, the 29th, he called me. He said, "Brother, I don't feel right." I said, "You know what, go to the emergency room, Hastings. I don't like how you sound." He went. So he didn't give up. HRD went to seek help, but what was afforded to him was profoundly deficient.
Profoundly deficient. Gentlemen?
When the Premier keeps saying that the healthcare at the hospital is the best that it has ever been, meaning under his administration, he doesn't listen to the practitioners that there, because the practitioners who are working there, they're telling you that they're understaffed, some are undertrained, they do not have the equipment that they need, they do not have the medication that they need. And so while he's saying that, the practitioners are saying something that's different. But I want to go back to the Minister of Health, because the Minister of Health, she speaks well. And I'll give her credit for that she speaks well. But everything that she said after that makes absolutely no sense. Now she's telling us now that they are now contracting professionals to help them to build out the hospital. Dr. Daly, there's not where you start. Get the professional help to guide you into the process. So all of that go into the design and everything that they're now saying that they're involving in Taiwanese. Taiwanese should not have been on board from the beginning, before they draw one stroke on a piece of paper. Talk to me.
There is the elephant in the room. The elephant in this room is the callous disregard to get professional people, get trained professionals to be ministers of government. It is a testimony to the neglect by our Premier and the callous disregard for what is required as a Minister of Health. How can he, in his own deliberations, believe? How could he have believed that this young lady had exactly what the health required, the health ministry required? In what capacity? It is outrageous. And whatever transpires must be on the administration of Nevis, and principally the Premier, because he unilaterally picked this woman to be the Minister of Health. And when you have a person who does not know the job, a person who is not trained in the profession, a person who has no clue about this level of administration, a person who has no physical presence, does not command any respect, because she comes with nothing, a blank slate. How can you then expect miracles from this person? How can you then expect policy directives from this person? How can you expect excellence of service from this person? But who put her there? Who made it possible? Why aren't we talking about that? We can sit and talk here all night about this woefully unqualified person. Who made it possible?
Premier.
Who sat there in the cabinet and said, well done, Mr. Premier, this is who we're looking for? Brilliant! Who could have said that in that cabinet? Spencer Brand? Troy Lyman? Eric Evelyn? Who could have said it? Not a single one of them could have said it. Because they knew and they know that this situation at Alexandra Hospital called for a serious professional to right this ship back on its keel. And you're going to pick a history teacher of dubious accomplishments, nothing related to health, to put her in a failing industry here on Nevis. Make it make sense.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Carla. Good evening, Daily. And I'm glad to hear that Tula is back in the studio. I just wanted to make 2 or 3 quick comments. One, let me start with Hastings. I think it was my brother who drew to my attention, and I also checked this out. To date, Hastings had something like 12,000 people that have viewed his funeral, and this was on YouTube, okay? Now that to me speaks to impact and legacy. Here is a man fired at 38, struggled, kept his head high, kept going and giving to his community. And the show and the outpour of love speaks to the person he was. Sadly, Hastings fell and passed because of a lack of proper care at Alexandra Hospital. It's very unfortunate, very sad. And this death has really done something to me as a person, because I knew Hastings close up. But impact of community, very important. There are people who are in government for more than 30 plus years and haven't made the kind of impact on their community that Hastings Daniel made on his community. That's point number 1. Point number 2, if the dear minister, now I know that she probably doesn't have a background in healthcare, public health, or anything like that. But when you find yourself in such position, you ought to make sure you surround yourself with the experts, people who know and who can guide you. That's point number 2. And point number 3, as a solution to this, ask the dear minister to call Odell. I can give them some guidance. I can give them and refer them to one of the top-notch healthcare design companies in the world that can assist them with this debacle that we have in Nevis and bring some resolution to it. I keep hearing about quantity surveyors, not getting information from quantity surveyors. We don't know who this quantity surveyor is. I mean, we hear about quantity surveyor in St. Kitts, and up to now, the Premier, neither the Minister of Health, neither the designer for the hospital can say to the people of Nevis who the quantity surveyor is that they have to take to court. It's time that they let the people of Nevis know we have a right to know. This is a public institution. But I'll offer them to assist them because this is dire, this is serious. Healthcare should be top priority in Nevis and in any country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carla.
On a point of information and clarification, the government of Mark Brantley did take the quantity surveyor from St. Kitts to court. And the case was summarily thrown out.
Was in the magistrate's court?
The High Court.
I can't find it. I was looking for it.
Yeah, okay, you can't find it.
Okay.
From what I understand, the case was dismissed, thrown out. Because the argument made by the surveyor was quite simple. The question was simple. Did the government put out a tender document to hire this gentleman? No. So that document, then that contract is null and void, because by government regulations you can't do that, and so there's no legal strike. There's a strikeout against that case. So that's what I understand.
But since that, again, the government said to us that they're in receipt of a quantity surveying from some people in America. We haven't heard anything about those surveys, no detail.
No, the documents came back. The survey did come back in December of 2023.
From America?
From America.
Okay.
The documents were received.
What's inside the
And
documents?
you heard the Honorable General Nisbet say they have received them, and by the first quarter of 2024, work would resume in earnest.
Okay.
She said that.
So over the they almost they have.
And
that
so then we
information.
heard the Premier say in one of his press conferences, he does not trust anybody from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis to do the interior work, and therefore he's now collaborating with the Taiwanese to get the expertise in.
We should have started.
And now they're now confirming that Taiwanese are being consulted. But I'm telling you something. We are fooling ourselves if we believe that the $12 million consigned to this project is anywhere near what is required. The funny thing is, they're talking as if they've gotten the loan already, because of the $12 million, they're hoping for a $3 million grant from somebody, I don't know from where. They are hoping that the NIA will pony in $3 million. That's 6 so far, and that the additional 6 will be borrowed from an institution yet to be named. You remember these guys just got a $20 million loan through the back door of National Bank, courtesy of Dr. Drew. Just got their loan. They had to go through on your knees to Dr. Drew to get a loan for $20 million for the airport, because their credit is so bad. Their value is so poor that no bank want to touch them right now. The Bank of Nevis, where they used to have free access, are now shutting down the tap, because they now are overexposed to the NIA, well over $100 million.
Because of that.
So when you're talking about these big projects, I know for a fact the Premier has feelers up in Canada. Feelers, serious feelers trying to raise 20 million US dollars for the project, the hospital. I know.
Donation.
But the point I'm trying to make is this government is not credit worthy anymore. They're not credit worthy. And I think Carla made mention of it. Over $2.5 million is being paid every month to service the existing loans we have. This is the state of affairs we have when you can't even pay persons who performed in Culturama. You can't even meet that simple obligation. You don't believe me? Go down to the treasury on a Monday morning and you'll see what's going on down there.
Good evening, caller.
I'm calling back again, caller. I forgot one important thing. Healthcare starts in the community. Public health in the community. What is the status on our health centers, i.e. Charlestown Health Center, Gingerland Health Center, and others around Navy? Since we're talking about healthcare, let's look at this holistically, because the idea should be to prevent people from reaching the hospital. Hospitals should be dealing with acute cases. So let's start there. What is the status?
Well, you want us to go from Charlestown out? The Charlestown Health Center has been closed for a long time. And so for the first time in the history of the Charlestown Health Center, instead of operating from St. Paul's, they are renting a building in St. John's. So the St. Paul's St. John's Health Center is in a rented building. The government has made no move to fix, remodel, do anything in Charlestown at the original site of the health center. Nothing. And nothing was mentioned in the budget for this year, so forget about that. The one new health center built in Nevis for the past 70 years is the one in Brownhill that is operating and functioning at its location. When you go up to Gingerland, the Gingerland Health Center, the original site is now a workshop.
A wood workshop.
A wood workshop. And the Gingerland Health Center has been operating from the Hard Times Community Center. The Butler's Health Center is functioning in its original location. The health center at Combermere is functioning in its original location. The health center at Cotton Ground was relocated to the Cotton Ground Community Center and has been there for nearly 10 years. And so that is the state of play in Nevis. The Butlers and Combermere Health Centers are operating in the original location. The one in Brownhill, that's a brand new health center built by NRP. So that is functioning. Charlestown, Cotton Ground, and Gingerland have been relocated, and not a cent is in the budget for any work to be done on any of those three health centers in the next year.
And hence the reason why, Carlisle, I'm asking those questions, because you see, we're talking about healthcare, and we cannot look at healthcare in a fragmented fashion. And this is what is happening in St. Kitts and Nevis. And, you know, we don't have serious people who are in charge of healthcare to look at healthcare holistically. Our clinics need to be upgraded, need to be rebuilt, remodernized, whatever need to be done. But we also must have money to do these things as well too. And I haven't heard that, and as you pointed out, I just hope that the people in the diaspora, Nevisians in the diaspora, are listening to you, Daly, and Tulu as we address the issue of healthcare, because I think it's a very serious matter. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Carlo, let me say one thing on that. The Premier would have traveled to Barbados some years ago to be the featured speaker at Mayor Motley's party convention. And in that presentation he made, he alluded to the fact that the Caribbean as a whole was suffering the largest upswing in non-communicable disease situations in the history of record keeping. Heart disease, high blood pressure, renal failure, strokes, those kind of things. non-communicable diseases. And he said 7 out of 10 Caribbean people are struggling with these diseases, including diabetes. Forgive me for not mentioning that one. And you would have thought, therefore, that as Mr. Busu would have indicated, that there'll be a plan of action at the community level to avert those numbers from becoming crisis situations.
Stick up in, Dr. Daly. Good evening, caller.
Greeting, Brother Carlisle.
How are you?
Thankful for the love of the Almighty Creator. And good day, Brother Daly, and good day, Brother Tulu. I heard about you, but I never see you in meditation until to this hour. So, blessed love to the eye. Now, I listen to the program, and I'm just here pondering on something that was outlined on the aspect of the $20 million that is allocated to getting a purchase of land access to pursue on the airport development. Is that was the procedure of that $20 million for?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Now, I heard the Premier make some reference in his budget debate about the sharing of the VAT revenue and how it should be able to be a resource to stand within the Navy shores instead of capitalizing on the Navy shore and then reaching down to the Sinkis treasury that is incorporating within, bringing out the percentage how we will share. But I would like to add to it, if this is the value of the intake of the VAT, and in the aspect of the Navy's counterpart of the administration, for whatever they receive in that VAT revenue, I think it should be able to stabilize our use in the propellant of the zone grounds that the Navy administration have to deal with. That is my view. I'm not outlining something on that level.
Thank you very much.
Instead of it going down into the Sinkis treasury and then you have to return back in a different portion than normally it's supposed to utilize. But I would just like to state to the Premier tonight, if it's that your venture of you looking forward for it to occur, you have to give proper assessment and ability towards what is spending and how the value of the resources are utilizing in this revenue from the VAT, if you need it to insert in the economy of navies. So I'm just hoping that you all have some good grounds. And another aspect I just like to put forward, why is it that administration, I see it in the federal and I see it in the local, why is it that always going into these?
I think the caller got disconnected. That's not our fault, caller. Trust me. But let me just very quickly address the whole matter of VAT, because VAT is not something that was done by navies in isolation, Sinkits in isolation, or Sinkits and navies to the detriment of one. We had a group in here called Katak. They came in to advise on the setting up and the structuring and the sharing of VAT. And for the record, I want to just call bullshit on what the Premier says that he wants to do. The Premier is behaving like somebody who never pitched marble, accustomed to be playing with the little dolly, and then he get outside and he see people pitching marble, and he don't even know how to stoop down to go pitch marble. So he kneel down on the ground and say he want to pitch marble. The arrangement that was worked out was working fine. 24% of the VAT to navies, 76% of the VAT to Sinkits. And hear this, not a copper of the navies VAT went down to Sinkits. They had accounts at National Bank, one in Sinkits, one in navies. The navies monies went to the National Bank in navies. The Sinkits VAT money went to the Sinkits National Bank. And at the end of the period, you had reconciliation. And in doing the reconciliation, this is how much we collected, whatever. Here is the division, 76, 24. And so, navies, we owe you X amount. Navies, you collected bram. So, we're going to have to tap you up, or we're going to have to say, well, you know, owe us, whatever. Navies ain't going to owe Sinkits no money, because most of the economic activity takes place in Sinkits. And not only that, a lot of us Nivisions go down to St. Kitts to do business, to go to the movies, to do all kind of things where VAT is collected. And as you have some businesses who do business in Nevis and who do business in St. Kitts and who pay the VAT in St. Kitts. The CCM in opposition went around Nevis and campaigned and said, oh, Nevis money going down to St. Kitts. And St. Kitts getting too much of Nevis money. And when we get into office, we're not going to send no VAT money down to St. Kitts. And that is exactly what they did when they got into office. They with their little small cupcake decided we want a whole cupcake. We're not going to share with St. Kitts people. And St. Kitts people down there with a big 8-inch fruit cake. Because they got cruise ships and we can't even get a fishing boat. You got movies, you got all kind of thing down in St. Kitts. Nevis people go St. Kitts to shop. And so we decide to hold on to one little cupcake. Leave St. Kitts with the 8-inch fruit cake. Instead of saying, put your little fruit cake with the cupcake and then let we get the 24%, which would be greater than the 100% collected in Nevis. So when I heard this, I want to call him a backside, but I ain't going to call him so.
Take it back.
When I ain't going to call him so. When I heard him in Parliament saying that Nevis is losing a substantial amount of the VAT revenue to St. Kitts, and so as a result of that, he want to ensure that they could pass some law, amend some law.
Wait. Let me stop you. Forgive me for stopping you. You're saying in the 2024 budget that is going on up to today, 2024 budget, that the Premier of Nevis addressing the VAT issue?
He did. I'm sorry for you if you didn't listen, but he did.
I can't listen to this man.
No, he said quite clearly that the NIA is losing significant funds because of the present arrangement.
Dr. Bartlett.
Right? And so he wants to get an amendment to the legislation to address some aspects of this deficit. And what he wants to address will not solve the problem. Because what he's proposing is that whatever VAT is paid by businesses who are registered in St. Kitts, like Rams and Horsford and those other places, those big places, TDC, whatever VAT is collected by them is paid in Nevis. But he forgot that the majority of regular folk on Nevis shop on St. Kitts, individuals as well as businesses. So all that VAT money is being paid into St. Kitts. So if you're going to target the big trading houses in Nevis, like I said, the Rams, the TDC, the Horsford,
You're still losing
you're
substantially.
still losing a lot of money. But the problem is, his ego will not allow him to go back and eat his vomit. Because if he was to do it properly, he would return to the original agreement that they walked out on in 2014. They walked out of that arrangement in 2014 that gave Nevis 24% of all the VAT collected in the Federation. What he's saying now, we want to get the little bit that you collect from Rams and those places who normally pay the VAT in St. Kitts. You will not solve the problem.
Not at all.
St. Kitts people don't shop in Nevis. St. Kitts businesses don't come to Nevis to buy. We go to them. So all that money in the economic transfer between us and them stays in St. Kitts.
I laugh when I heard him, and it's on paragraph 36. We estimate that the revenue lost to the administration through disallowance, meaning that businesses registered St. Kitts Nevis pay the VAT in St. Kitts, the revenue loss is substantial.
Okay.
But hear the joke. Hear the joke. I am contending that the $5.5 million that is sent to Nevis as a subvention every month, about $3 million of that is VAT that we are losing because of the foolishness of the CCM administration.
I believe that. I mean, if you do the math, the pure math, all right, it still come out to the same number. So whether Drew sends $5 million and say some CBI, By logic, it tells you, boy, sing it.
3 million of that is back.
We're getting 3 million from Nevis. Easy.
Because of the ignorance and the stupidity of CCM.
All I'm going to say here, the reason why I asked you the question, I remember like yesterday, I would have been having an episode like this one that I have. I'm going to now. And I was at the hospital at the outpatient department for maybe about 6-7 hours getting some treatment downstairs. And just when I was released and waiting for somebody to come to collect me, my nephew, Van Samry, Mark Brantley, Stedman Truss, Mikey Pawkins, and a young lady from Rollins named Beverly. They came. Van Sammy said that he just came for my daughter. My daughter said at the hospital, so he will come and go look for me. So we're outside. And this matter of VAT came up, and me against the other 5 of them. Because Vance and Mark Brantley in particular were against the VAT sharing mechanism. And the argument was they want to hold on to the 100% what is collected in Nevis because Nevis is generating more business than St. Kitts, and therefore St. Kitts should not be benefiting off of Nevis money. And no matter how I try to show them that the economic outlook in the Federation, output in the Federation, is vastly in St. Kitts, more than Nevis, your argument has no weight on it. And both of them insisted, regardless of what it is, they do not want to have any agreement with the sharing mechanism between St. Kitts and Nevis. So as soon as they got into office, they destroy it. So for Mark Brantley now to come all these years later and arguing for money, I blame Dr. Bartlett, because Dr. Bartlett keeps telling the people of Nevis that we are losing, or we have lost out significantly because of this nonsense that Van Sammy and Mark Brantley and them did. So he just found out now in 24?
What you need to understand, one of the reasons, the real reason why Vance and them wanted out of the sharing is the issue of accountability.
So they wouldn't be
They
accountable?
did not want to be accountable.
To nobody?
To nobody. When you collect your own, you spend it how you want. You do it with it what you want. You give concessions as you want. But when you have a framework to work with, there are people to report to. Edward Gift was the chief VAT master. He served on the board of CFB when I was the president there. Brilliant guy. Knows numbers in his sleep. And he would have picked up if there was any mamby-pamby, hanky-panky going on. And so you must understand, it's more than just the idea that they don't want to share with St. Kitts. They don't have to share information. They don't have to share data. They don't have to be accountable. And they didn't want that. And so they made up this story that St. Kitts getting more than them. How the hell? If you're going to make such a huge argument, you must back it up by data. You must come to the people and say, listen, these are the figures that we've been generating. These are our numbers. These are St. Kitts numbers.
And ours are better.
And ours are better. And therefore, we're going to go. But here the one more thing here. The legislation that they signed in 2010 that codified this VAT sharing arrangement, because in the Constitution now, you know, there are provisions for renegotiations. If at any point you are dissatisfied with this agreement, don't tear it up. Renegotiate. Bring your figures, we will bring ours. Bring your data, we will bring ours. Bring your exports, we will bring ours, and we will renegotiate this deal. But don't walk away from it. But that is a powerful inclusion in the piece of legislation, which these guys refused to use. Ask yourself, why, if it's available to you to renegotiate, St. Kitts wasn't saying, we don't want to talk about it?
But I have been advised that the Premier, Mark Brantley, has been repeatedly told that we're losing a significant amount of money based on the stupidity of the
Dr.
stance that was taken by CCM.
Dr. Bartlett been saying that from beginning. She's been saying that, and
$2 million to $3 million a month. People must understand the staggering amounts of money. Between $2 million and $3 million a month is what we have been losing since 2014.
Dr. Bartlett been telling us that over and over from all those time.
$300+ million, from $240 million to $300+ million, could have been paying down our national debt, could have been invested in the airport, could have finished the hospital, could have built brand new schools for our children to be in, could have hired all the experts there is. But no, you think Sinkis is upset?
No.
You think Dr. Drew is upset? They're not upset. And this nonsense about going back to Dr. Drew, and we've had cordial conversations about entering into this, to have this, what do you call it now, amendments to the legislation. These guys are laughing their tails off.
He didn't say it when he was in a government for 7 years. And the kingmaker to say to his prime minister, listen, we need to negotiate this thing.
My brother understands something. This government is between the devil and the deep blue sea. They have no money. The only recourse is to tax people. And the only other recourse is to recover more of what they threw away in 2014. So they're now coming back with a tail between their legs, asking for a back door to the VAT and asking the back door to the National Bank. They walked away from National Bank almost a decade ago. They went Bank to Nevis and moved all of their dealings and moved the National Bank to the Bank of Nevis. Now they have overstayed their welcome at Bank of Nevis. Over $100 million exposure. They can't now have no fiscal space. So they're back to Dr. Drew begging, give us a back door to the National Bank, please. You think Dr. Drew is a foolish person? They went asking for a $30 million line of credit to pay the homeowners and property owners at east of Vance Emery International Airport. They went there. It's in their plan that they need $30 million to borrow. Well, they wanted $30 million grant, but Drew said, listen, the best I can do for you is give you a loan through National Bank. So get all your paperwork in order, cross your T's, dot your I's, go see the manager. Go see the manager. We're going to pass this resolution in Parliament for you to walk with and tell them we send you. Tell them we send you for the $20 million. Small boy politics. Small boy politics. You go. We're going to tell them you're coming for the $20 million. We ain't going to give you 30 and we ain't going to give you a grant. And let the bank deal with all you. How does see fit? Because we ain't giving you a red cent out of CBI to build no Vance Emery International Airport. Go tell them we send you. Come to the back door on a Friday afternoon. Tell the manager, I call in advance, I tell him why you're coming. This is the kind of nonsense we are faced with in the government. Why did you give him 20 million instead of 30? Why do you think that is? He wanted 30 at 20. Why? Because June and them don't work out through the FS. That Nevis can't pay the 30 million. So they give them 20 where they believe they can pay.
And they can't pay 20.
And you're still short.
Still short.
Gentlemen, it's 10 o'clock. You could wrap up in a minute each.
Me don't wrap up.
Okay, Tulu.
I was going to ask Dr. Daly a question, but I'm going to leave it there. I want to go back to the Minister of Health and her utterances in the Parliament in regards to the hospital. What the Minister of Health has done or said to the people of the world is that they went about the hospital development wrong. The fact that she's saying now that they need the Taiwanese and they need experts to come on board to help them, she has indicated to me, at least, that they went about this thing wrong because any wise company, organization, even a local family man going to build something, they want the best advice that they can get in order to build it. Now, Spencer Brown had no expertise in doing hospitals. The Taiwanese has expertise in designing hospitals. The Nevis Island administration should have contracted or discussed, asked the Taiwanese who are helping for assistance in assisting them in building out, developing up, designing this hospital so for the betterment of the people of Nevis. After you would have spent almost $19 million, you're coming now in 2024, a project that should have been completed since 7 years ago. And you're coming 2024 tell me that 7 years later you're just getting experts to come on board and assist you. And so she has admitted that the administration went wrong. Should I blame her or should I blame Van Samry? No. Blame Mark Brantley. He was the Minister of Health. He was what? The Premier up to when they gave Spencer Brand the design to do it, or close to the Deputy Premier?
He was Deputy Premier.
Deputy Premier. They went about it bad. And so they has to take responsibility for this, and the people of Nevis must hold their feet to the fire and condemn them for this colossal failure on their behalf. Very early I asked the question, why they did not consult with the Taiwanese. The same way they consulted with the Taiwanese to get the Pinny Spark.
I think you know the answer already.
I don't know the answer. Tell me, please.
When you consult with people who are professionals, you become accountable.
Okay.
And you don't want to be accountable. These are professional people. You can't dip into the money. You can't waste the money. You can't do anything nefarious with the money. So why would you engage them? You think they'll approve of Spencer Brand being the project manager or the architect? You think they'll approve of all the issues that they were having?
Spencer would not have been in the equation if they went to the Taiwanese.
But that's what I'm saying. By going to the Taiwanese, by going to Spencer, you have carte blanche access to everything. If you had gone to the Taiwanese, you would have had a straight and narrow path. Where would Spencer have gotten money from to do this campaign? Where? Anyway, I changed my mind, Carlisle. I want to say something. And I want to really compliment our party leader, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, for a fantastic presentation in the House on Wednesday. I think she did a surgical job. And you can tell that her presentation hurt these guys deeply, because she took her time and dissected these guys like you dissect a frog in a lab. And I'm only regretful that there was not a camera on them in the gallery, in their seats, squirming from each cut that she put on them. She was surgical. So when you hear them bawling out, oh, she was talking slow. Believe me, each one of those slow sentences was a hammer blow. And she raised up Cain on these people. I'm so proud of her. She really put the spotlight on the incompetence and the wastefulness of this government. She pushed them to the limit. And so here, Troy reacting. Oh, it's like watching grass grow. Oh, this 2 hours was painful. It was painful.
Surgery is painful.
It was painful. Listen, I would not want to be on the other side, taking them blows there so slowly. And I'm like, I want a quick death. Chuck me in my heart with a knife and call it that. But she was slicing and dicing.
Slow killing?
Slow, bleeding out, skinning. You understand? And that is what got them upset, because they have never seen anything like that. And then in her closing, before she closed, Brantley made a huge error, because he mentioned, well, I'm not hearing anything new. I'm just hearing complaints about this and complaints about that. And then she dropped the hammer blow in the tail talking about the blue-green economy and how to monetize it. It went straight over the heads.
They don't have a clue.
No clue.
They don't have a clue.
You have a creative industry with no resources. You have a Premier's ministry who's spending more than anybody else and talking about tighten belt. You know, it was fantastic.
It was great.
I couldn't ask for more. I wish she had more time, because I know if she had more time, she'll have, you know, they'll probably run out the damn place. But she had 2.5 hours and she made full use of it. And his only complaint was, oh, she talking slow, so she burn up the time. No, she talking slow because she want to pong you like a sick cat. And that she did. She ponged them soft. And so all this nonsense about, oh, grass will grow and blah, blah, blah. Hey, I was listening. And I think myself and Carlisle and you, I think we are pretty much good at judging a presentation and its qualities.
She was great. I at the same time she's presenting, I am on the phone with somebody else going through that, discussing what's going on here. And all I'm saying to the individual, they are getting licks. They are feeling pain. They are feeling the dagger of our words in their hearts. You could have seen something happen on the Premier and he's behind there on his phone, tinkling. I don't know if he was typing something or he pretend that he's typing. But they really got a hiding, and I was very, very, absolutely proud of her. As a matter of fact, I was surprised that she spoke so long, you know, because I know her custom, she go and she went, but she was surgical. And I'm saying, I'm there asking, and if Carla had anything to do with preparing her for this thing, and if Daly had anything to do with this preparation, because...
No, this is a party leader getting better and better.
But then I said to the individual, I said, listen.
Do not underestimate her.
The same thing I said, listen, this lady is surgical, she is bright, she is well informed, she knows exactly what she's saying. And I'm convinced that she did most of it by herself.
Let me tell you something. Dr. Hodge first saw the estimates and the budget at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning.
I told the person that too.
10 a.m.
So she get it
Tuesday morning to go into Parliament in less than 24 hours to present the same budget.
You see why you can't give up before that?
You understand?
Listen, I firmly believe, I think Antigua, I think they now have 2 days in between the presentation and the response. 2
days, is not a whole week Glastonbury give?
There is time in between. I firmly believe that must become established. Because the same dumbass people on the government side will be sending out messages and saying, oh, we didn't hear this and we did. They had 6 months preparing for the budget.
That's right.
And still went in there sounding long-winded and empty.
Yep.
And then you expect somebody who just saw it to sound better than you, and she did sound better than them.
Way better.
You know,
yeah.
But that didn't surprise me, because I've been to Parliament with these people. Some of them are the same people. They brought bills and we presented better than them on their own bills. So that didn't surprise me at all. Anyway, gentlemen, it's already 10 minutes past the hour, and you know I just like to go home. I just leave you with one thing on the audit report, the capital accounts, and I want you to consider this. On page 33, it says that at the end of the 2023 financial year, 15 projects with a combined estimated budget of $5.72 million had not started. 15 projects that the CCM had for 2023 had not started. But hear this. They consist of projects from prior years that had not commenced or were ongoing in 2022. So these fellows they put things in the budget with no intentions of completing or even starting the projects. And so I said to you people, listen, you're supposed to learn something when you listen to the budget debate. But frankly, people in Nevis are turned off now by the lameness of the budgets presented by Mark Brantley since 2017 when he became Premier. People are not impressed with his ministers who just follow him and repeat everything what he said. Mm-hmm. So he said, Restream, And the rest of them got to come and say something about Resthaven because they don't read. Some of them don't even know that Mark was named in a lawsuit in 2018. Some of them for the first time heard that Mark Brantley had put out something saying what they will do with Resthaven. Because they don't read, they don't know. I wonder, their cabinet meetings must be like when people play in Dally House. Listen, I am sorry for them. And I see no hope. These people can't get any better. They can only get worse. But we're going home, you hear? We'll continue with the budget next week. And next week, I think this is the 5th. The 12th, we'll continue with the budget. And the 19th, we'll hear from the police. They will come in and spend some time with us. So, until then, continue with your Christmas shopping. Be good, be kind to one another. And make sure that you start thinking about your own interest. Start thinking about how we can develop a better Nevis. Because CCM is not it. I'm frankly worried every time I hear a budget report. By the way, it's another $30 million deficit this year again, Daily. Every year is a deficit budget. This year, chalk up another 30 million in deficit. And these fellas are going to spend like drunken sailors coming inland and getting paid. We'll be back with you next week. Until then, be good.
Royal Electronics Nevis announces its big Black Friday sale and raffle. Save up to 25% on all products on Friday, November 29th. Spend $100 or more